we go. So I am Josh Wright, Senior UX Designer here at LegalZoom. I focus a lot on, these days, the intellectual property side of things, so trademark, that kind of thing. But I've also done a lot of work on the asset delivery pipeline here. So, going from product to UX to visual and on into development, UX kind of touches all of those different touch points. And I've done some work with a lot of my talented colleagues on getting that in place. So I want to walk you through a couple of different things. So here's what we'll be covering: the asset delivery pipeline that we have here at LegalZoom, our design system, which is way cool, and then I will be jumping in and doing a hands-on with Zeplin. So show of hands, how many of you here use Zeplin in your day-to-day? Anybody? Non-LegalZoom people? Okay. All right, cool. So this will be new and fun for you guys. Zeplin, I'm way too excited about it, and I think you'll understand why. I know adding another tool to the toolkit is a little bit daunting, but I'm hoping that once we get through the Zeplin hands-on, you'll kind of see that this isn't so much adding a new tool, it's stripping a couple of terrible ones away and adding something in its place. So let's go ahead and jump in. So speaking of tools, this is what I'm looking at when it comes to UX or any visual design work. It's all over the place. It could be prototyping in Atomic, doing some UI work in Sketch, talking in Slack, some version control for Abstract. It's all over the place, and here at LegalZoom, it's up until about a year ago, it was kind of all over the place with what we were doing deliverables wise. So everything was very kind of all over the place and very bespoke for every single project. It'd be custom code for this thing. It'd be let's ship this in Photoshop or Sketch or Axure and throw it kind of over the fence and hope it works. And we worked really hard to figure out what would be worth the investment to learn. So what did we come up with? Well, this is where we've landed so far, and it's working pretty well for us. So it's Sketch or Photoshop, which we're mostly Sketch, but we still have a couple of Photoshop holdouts. And then we ship it out to Zeplin, which is where you guys come in. So Zeplin's a great tool, and I'll get more in depth on that, of course, a little bit later, but it's a great tool for developer handoff. So us being able to communicate with you and be able to kind of better illustrate our designs. And then throwing Slack in the mix to kind of keep everybody informed on the latest stuff. So all of this we also use to power our really cool design system. So what is a design system? Well, a design system can be called many things: pattern library, code reference. It's kind of all over the place. In the design side of things, what it looks like is kind of a sticker sheet. So if we're going to build a new web page, say, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have all of these Legos out there, basically, that we can grab and put together. And we use atomic design, which what that means is, so an atom would be, say, a button. A molecule would be a form with a button at the bottom, and an organism would be the page that form lives in. So our design system kind of is based on that, and it's powered by that. And it's kind of a collection of every element. Now, on the dev side of things, that means a code reference. So all of the elements, all of the buttons, all of the forms are presented in a copy-pastable way. So you jump in and you can copy that code. So why would a developer care about a design system? So number one is, for sure, it's a single source of truth across all branded designs. That's web, that's iOS, that's Android, that's everything. Now, it varies from system to system, of course, because there's specific stuff for iOS, specific stuff for Android, but for the most part, the brand voice, all of that is consistent. So it's also always up to date. So you know that the thing that you're building is the most current thing that we, the designers, are kind of pushing out and communicating out to the company. The interactions are validated by research on the UX side of things, so you ensure that they're built for a reason. I can guarantee, most of you in this room have built something, put some time into building something only to have it cut at the last minute because it doesn't work right or it wasn't tested properly. Well, this kind of fights against that in the hope that, due to all of our research on the UX side, it's something that needs to be built. And the best part, copy-pastable code for everything. So you just grab it and go. You don't even have to think about it. So what does it look like in practice? Well, this is our design system workflow. So on the UX side, usually, but this can come from a developer as well, a new interaction is proposed. So we talk about it. The design system team, has, there's a developer in the room, there's UX in the room, there's visual design in the room, there's brand voice typically in the room. We talk about it. Should we have this? Do we need it? Do we want to invest the resources? If the answer is yes, then the interaction is designed. Someone jumps into Sketch or Photoshop and figures out what that looks like, and then we ship it. We put it into the pattern library, and this is, of course, only the visual side of things so far. We push it out to Zeplin, which I'm about to jump into and I'm very excited about. And then the changes are published to Slack channels to kind of communicate that these changes have happened. And then once that happens, tech in collaboration with UX and visual build the new elements and include the usage in the code ref. So again, this speeds things up like crazy. It's really good. So on to Zeplin, our secret weapon. So why is it good? Well, like the design system, it's the single source of truth for the design of project. It's up to date. It's the latest thing. This one's big. No more cracking open the file to cut out assets. No more jumping into Photoshop, making sure you get the picture just right, cropping it, pulling it out. No more ripping it out of Sketch. It exports, and you don't have to mess with it. You just download the stuff and plug it in. Asynchronous remote collaboration, which is a fancy way to say comments, emails back and forth. So you can comment directly on the different parts of the screen. If you have a question, how does this work? You can add a comment, the developer will get an email, or the UX will get an email, or whomever, and then they can jump in and you can have a conversation with them on the fly. Ensuring interoperability of formats. I got wordy with this one. Pings, right, JPEGs. The things are consistent. If it's an illustration, Zeplin out of the box knows it should be an SVG. Pull that down, throw it into your project. You can do web, iOS, or Android with Zeplin, and it actually will customize the formats that it outputs based on what type of project it is. So iOS will do whatever is needed there. I should know that, I don't. And then Slack integration for constant communication. And emojis. There's no parrots, unfortunately, but there are emojis. Maybe they're working on the parrots. I should make that a feature request. All right, so any questions before I jump into Zeplin? Cool. All right, let's go.
Is Zeplin only on the Mac, or is it?
So Zeplin is no, it's both Windows and Mac. So it can be. It has there's a web-based version and there's an app-based version, and they both work pretty much the same. So if you're working on a Windows box and your designer is working on a Mac, Zeplin can kind of be the bridge between those two, which is super nice. Cool. So I'm going to jump into project I've already set up in Zeplin and in Sketch. So I'll show you my side first, which may not matter, but I'm sure some of you out there are doing your own thing, mocking it up in Sketch, and you can use Zeplin. It's really good. It's great for enterprise. It's great for smaller, like in-between companies, and I would even use it if I were doing something myself, just so I wouldn't have to jump into Sketch or Photoshop and cut the things out. It just saves so much time. So you select the artboard, you do plugins, you do Zeplin, you export, and we'll do this into test project. Doing its thing. And we're good. So let's jump into the thing I just pushed, and I'll show you the interface. So you'll notice down here, we've got a little pop-up with an emoji, and this is tracking commit messages. So I love this. This is actually a very recent feature, but you can actually go back in time and see the different versions of this particular artboard or screen, and it encourages you to add a commit message. So we'll say testing. for meetup. I post that, and now the entire team can see that. So we'll close out of that, and I'll explore the interface a little bit. So you'll notice as I click on things and hover over them, redlining is automatic. So there is, since it's iOS, it's in points. You can see the space between all of it. And you can also, you'll notice when I click on text, down here in the right, you'll see the copy. So all you do is hit copy, and it's in your clipboard. So if there's a web page, say, with several paragraphs of text, you don't want to crack open the sketch file, copy it, paste it, you just pull it in here, click on the copy, and you have it. As I click on different things, so I've indicated that these particular assets be exportable. It's a single click in Sketch. And you can come over here, and since it's iOS, you've got the 3 different sizes you need for both PNG and JPEG based on what usage you want. Over here, it's the vector asset. I'm not sure why it's PDF. Maybe that's an iOS thing. Usually it's SVG for the web, so we'll hand wave a little through that one. You can also see exact sizes for each of the things you click on, the positioning, the width, the height. If I click off and kind of go through here, you can turn the grid on. See how that works. You can see another number of columns. You can link directly if you need to say, send a link to a stakeholder. Again, as I'm going through, if you have any questions at all, please jump in, interrupt me. Let's do some back and forth.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
Is there naming conventions you have for the different parts of the layer, like elements and layers in SketchUp?
Ideally, yes. In this particular file, not really.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asked if there is a specific naming convention. So what it ties to is the layer names in Sketch. So it's kind of down to your designer to be clean about their layers. But something it will do, you'll notice here it says invalid name in camel case. On my side, it's just invalid name all lowercase. It's automatically doing camel case, which you can set right here in naming convention. So whichever one you're most comfortable with, I love the names here, by the way, kebab case. You can set it to, and it'll automatically generate that. Okay, so up here, you'll see these 4 different icons. These are kind of the meat and potatoes of the screen. So you click over to the color palette, and Zeplin automatically generates a style guide. So anytime I click on anything, you'll see here it has the color name. I added that. So if I uncheck it, you can kind of see what it looks like with that not there. So you see the RGB numbers. I add it. It adds it automatically to a style guide that I'll show you in a moment, and it generates a color name based on that. So you can do that with every color. You can do that with font styles, and it automatically puts together a style guide that you can just pull from anytime you want.
Can you name the colors so you can
Yeah.
create your own?
So we'll go ahead and change this to awesome. And that blue is now called awesome, and that's reflected instantly
Everyone gets
everywhere.
that. Everyone that uses awesome will get that.
Yeah, everywhere, everyone in the app that uses that specific color, automatically updated. Let me show you that while we're talking about that. So I backed out of that screen, and I'm gonna head over to Style Guide here. And you can see here's awesome, automatically generated. It's pulling out code to allow you to specify these colors. And on the web side of things, it'll actually do CSS. I don't know how good the CSS is, but it'll do CSS for things like drop shadows or any kind of text styling. As you click on those elements, it'll automatically show you that code. But for here, since it's iOS, it's doing the color stuff. You see the text styles. They're named kind of funny here just because I didn't go through and update them. But if you change the name here in the style guide, it'll actually carry everywhere else throughout the different screens. And then likewise for the colors. Sure.
Is there a server component to this?
So it's online. It's a hosted thing. You download Zeplin from their site, and you can actually go out.
So what's the scope of this? You set up a project?
Yeah.
Like Awesome is in a project, or?
Right. So it's if I back out here, you can see all of the different projects I have access to, and I'm going to quickly jump back in so I don't spoil anything. But yeah, it's a project by project scope for the different style guides and color palettes. I'm not sure how easy it is to copy style guides from piece to piece, but I know it automatically reads a lot of that stuff in from Sketch, so there should be a pretty way to quickly keep track of that and all of that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, all right. So we'll jump back in to that screen. All right, I'm going to hop over to the Assets tab here. So this is on a screen-by-screen basis, and I jumped over to the little knife here, and it shows all of the assets. So I don't have to go piece by piece and export. I can click over to here, the assets, and download all 39 PNGs, or all 18 JPEGs, or the PDF assets, and you can see kind of a list of them here. And then over here, you see the comments. So this one here is a comment that I made earlier, and this is a reply from my coworker, Keto, who is back there and cheering. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go ahead. It's tough to do one-handed, but I will make a comment on this text here. So it's just a command click to make a comment. And I will @Keto say hello. And so I can choose a color. So if you want to get fancy here, we found some use with the different colors meaning. So yellow could say be interactions, or red could be copy, or green could be visual tweaks. And you can kind of keep track of all of the different colors, and it'll actually carry in the bullet points. So if you say, hey Keto, only check out the red colors, I have some notes, the yellow ones are not related to you. You can have some back and forth with, say, a copywriter or someone in legal or whomever you're interacting with, and have this be kind of the centralized point of truth for the project. So the back and forth is all recorded here. You can resolve, you can edit, you can delete. You can quick reply with emojis. So if this makes you really sad, you can click and there's the sad, just like that. And your replies, it just to carry forth, you can click and you get access to all the emojis. So if you need any others you really want to get on the emoji train, you can do it. It's enabled in the app. And then over here you'll see all of these things are recorded. So one of the things I want to point out as well, any questions so far? We good? Cool. So over here you'll see it's connected to Zep-demo. Yeah, there we go. And that is over here. So everything I just did, the screen I updated, posted automatically to the Slack feed. Here's the style guide stuff that I just updated, and then here are the comments. So if you have a Slack channel that all of you live in, your development team, and you guys are going really fast on the different screens, everything will flow in here. You can keep track of it. You can scroll back and see everything that happened. And if you want details, you can come in here and you can check out the commit messages. And just kind of get up to speed very, very quickly on screens.
Quick question about the Slack integration. Is there a way, like, for a specific project that you can have it either each project go to its own channel, or when it posts some messages, it adds specific people?
I'm actually not sure on that.
What's the question?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. So the question was, can you @people in Zeplin and have it @people in Slack? Is that right?
Yeah. So like if you're in a project, you're ready.
Right.
Yeah. So without having to manually do it,
That's
there's comments.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So it does trigger an email when you @someone in the Zeplin project, and like a project manager can subscribe to all comments, all emails, so they can blow up their inbox or that kind of thing. But I'm not sure on that.
That would be nice though. I'm
Yeah,
sure
that'd be a
nice.
killer feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any questions? That's pretty much. There's notifications in the top right, and you'll notice I'm an octopus. You can set your own emoji. Very important. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll show you how. Yeah.
So how do you use let's say you finish doing the whole project, how do you use it for review? Let's say you want to send it downstream or to your other teams.
Sure.
Review the flow.
So there's this. There's two ways you can do that. This web app link here, which would take you into the web app, which looks very similar to this. Unfortunately, the person reviewing would need to be invited. So the plus side on that is they could then comment on it. The downside is they need a seat in your Zeplin plan. What you could also do is the scene link here. So we'll click that. and it does a nice job of putting together up top. There's the color palette, there's the style guide, and then the different screens. Now you can't drill down on any of the different things, but it's great for stakeholders to kind of review and see where the project's at. Great question. All right, anyone else? Very cool. Well, hold on, wait for it. Here it comes. Thanks.